Hello, everyone. Welcome to my first Division E-East power ranking. For those of you watching from G-West, I'm sorry. I only have so much time in the day. It's a problem. So obviously, this is the first week I'm doing this. It's definitely going to be a little bit slapdash. I apologize, but I'm going to do the best I can. There were 6 matches played last week, and Yavapai may have had a flex match. I'm not sure, but for my own sanity, I'm only handling the official matches, which means Yavapai just isn't going to be ranked. Don't worry, I got you guys this week. You actually have 2 weeks, 2 matches, and I'm definitely casting one of them, so I will see you. But first up, the first result we had reported from last week was actually ICC Queens versus O7 Chromium. Beyonce Knowles and Chromium, if you guys have an official avatar, please send it to me because it wasn't in the pack. So this was an interesting series. Actually, before I get into that, I should talk about the relative rankings. For me, an S rank is this team is competing for first place. This team is a team to beat. This team, I definitely feel like can go all the way. Now look at him go. Now look at him go. A rank is going to be my picks for top 4. Now here's the thing. You may have more than 4 teams in S and A rank. These are just the ones I'm like, these teams deserve to be in the upper half of the brackets. That's what they're fighting for. B rank are going to be in the top 8. So teams I feel like are solid picks for playoffs. And C rank are the teams that are fighting for a playoff position. So we'll have to see where that goes. I haven't actually thought ahead about where the teams are, so go me. Can't move. So first off, we do have the ICC Queens against Chromium. This was an interesting match to play. So ICC Queens did win it 2-1. But what was interesting is that Chromium ended up being they won game 1, and game 1 was the most normal of the games that happened. I ended up watching them backwards, and I kind of felt like Chromium is better in a standard heads-up game. They just aren't as experienced a team. Cat down? Do not be on top of the computer, little hellion. They are just not... What happened is in games 2 and 3, Queens kind of pulled out some very, very unique and inventive strats. So I do think Chromium is on paper probably the better team to Queens, but probably Queens has more in their arsenal. So in terms of what's overall going to happen, if it was just a match between Chromium and Queens all season long, I think Chromium's in a better position, but it's not. And Queens has enough unique strategies. In games 2 and 3, I'm not going to tell you what they are, but they definitely pull out heroes you don't see in Div E very often. So if you're going to play them, you might want to scout those matches. So I would say Chromium, relatively inexperienced team, can't really handle when the status quo of the game is put on its head very much. Queens, I'm going to put them in B right now, but I'm worried about them, to be completely honest, because I feel like as they run into teams that don't get thrown off guard by a team that shifts the meta as much, they're really, really going to struggle. So I could definitely see these two flipping. But for right now, that's where we'll put them. Macro Machines versus Hardstuck Support Group. Oh my goodness! Second match of the series, and I'm not gonna wait. Boop. Macro Machines played this so incredibly well. You can definitely see why this team is called the Macro Machines. They were all over the map. In all honesty, Hardstuck actually outfought them a few times. Hardstuck actually took engagements, but it would be every single time an engagement would end, and you'd end up having Macro Machines limping away with 2 or 3 members dead. It'd just be like, okay, so what is Hardstuck going to do? Hardstuck is getting pushed in all 3 lanes by minion camps, because that's what would happen is Macro Machines would take camps and then go in for a fight and distract Hardstuck, which just caused a big old problem. And it would just be like, okay, as soon as they win, they just have to spend the entire time cleaning up lanes. So Hardstuck, very good team fight, but I will rank them ahead of ICC in B. ICC is actually kind of between B and C, and Hardstuck's probably between B and A, but yeah, I do think they can do better. But they had a bit of a poor showing because they went up against Macro Machines that just impressed the heck out of me. Next up, we had a match between Frostbite and Regen Rebel. 2 matches that came out is we did have Infernal, which was a relatively even split, and then what we really had is that region seemed to have a better wombo in it. It was very even. It was very back and forth up until level 10. You may notice that I keep going to later and later games. I have more and more to say because I just started writing down more. I'm sorry for the first two teams. At level 10, region did pull out a like Johanna Falling Sword into Light Bomb into Gravo and just did amazingly. And then Alterac, it was less evenly split in the first half of the game. So region Rebel, definitely also. Yeah, I'll put them in A. Again, I feel like they're between A and B. They might get knocked down to B depending on what the rest of this list does. I don't remember thinking then, like, oh my god, this team is so good. But they were solid. They were a very solid force to be reckoned with. And then we did have Frostbite. Frostbite, I'll put in B. I do think they can make playoffs, but kind of like ICC, they could also get knocked down. It depends. So next we got FF and the Pancakes against FC Hong Kong. Oh boy, and this is where I started just like typing out of my mind. There were 3 matches here. We did go ahead and have Infernal Shrines, and in all honesty, FF won, but they shouldn't have. FC Hong Kong basically was at their core before F7 and the Pancakes even got down their second fort. It was kind of a crazy play coming out of FC. They ended up getting knocked back at the core, and I just feel like their confidence evaporated. So that definitely could have been. And then in game 2, FC Hong Kong just won. Like there was no question about it. It was decisive. FC was ahead of it. They led with Leoric, and so sorry. The Infernal Shrines was the second game. I can't read my own notes. Oh, Dragonshire. Okay, there's the problem. I'm sorry, guys. Dragonshire is the one that was Infernal Shrines. We did have FC end up winning Dragonshire, but the match was really going back and forth. It was like I feel like FC should have won the Infernal Shrines match. They won Dragonshire, but it wasn't like they beat the other team. They just edged them out just a bit. And then Tomb of the Spider Queen is where I think FF just turned on the Afterburners. Was a great team and just came out a swinging. Really, and that one I kind of feel like unfortunately FC lost in draft. They led off with Leoric, and then there was a counter with Orphea Maev. And what would end up happening is that Leoric would go in for an Entomb, and then Orphea would just drop the Eternal Feast. So, like, the entire team of FC was trying to push in on that Entomb, and they're like, wait, crap, we can't stand here. They would move back. But then as they started to turn around, Maev would jump in and then, like, lock them in the Warden's Cage. It was just really heads-up play. I do think that FC and Macro Machines are going to be fighting for the top of the thing. And I do think FC has not done very well, but I will put them at A. They played extremely well this time around. They could have 2-0'd FF and the Pancakes, and it would not be like extreme. Next up, we have 30 Seconds to Mosh. We go up against Souls in Slow Mo. So 30 Seconds to Mosh won, but game 1, honestly, game 1 I feel like was an execution win on the side of Souls in Slow Mo. Very well played here. So what ended up happening is the 30 Seconds to Mosh went for the Training Wheels comp with Jaina, Varian, and Raider. And what ended up happening is I think Souls saw it coming, ended up going very defensive, long-range Kael'thas. Vala did not go the Gambit quest. They all just stayed the heck away, and Varian just could not get past the enemy tank. And so, like, a Nubrock would just not use his E, and every time the taunt went in, just bro charged out, got healed up, and it was just, FF could not get any, or not FF, 30 Seconds to Mosh just could not get anything done. It was kind of tragic to see. Dragonshire, they turned it around, very decisive game. SIS ended up going for a similar comp, and this time, like, 30 Seconds to Mosh was ready for it. They did go ahead and swap healers to Stukov, and so what would end up happening, it was really weird and funny to see. Stukov was really good at the group heals, and then you just have Stukov and Jaina decide to be melee heroes, just walk in, be like, you guys can't kill me, I don't care about your Kael'thas and the spread damage, we're going to heal through it, and they just almost, like, bullied over SIS. It was kind of hilarious. And then game 3 was on Volskaya. And even though 30 Seconds to Mosh won it, and by the stats won it decisively, it could have gone either direction. Definitely both teams being like B rank. I think they'll make playoffs, but they could easily knock some of these teams down. So, and then the last game that I ended up watching was Phoenix Rising Sapphire against Beyonce Knowles. Beyonce Knowles won, but it was interesting. I actually feel like Phoenix Rising Sapphire was the stronger team. So, like, Alterac, Alterac was a watch. Like, I really feel like both of these teams were a little bit unsure, a little bit on, like, unsure footing, didn't really know what was going on. I shouldn't say didn't know what was going on, that sounds like super sus, but didn't really know, like, they weren't super confident in themselves. So it kind of felt like watching a Storm League game. You would have a battle over the point that went on for like 5 to 7 minutes. Um, Freaking, you had Brightwing and Lunara in a different lane, just being like, we're soaking. And Brightwing is able to go in, but like neither team get an advantage. And it was just like a big old brawl going on around the point. No one's actually dying because neither team actually has the focus to take anyone else out. It was just a, like, is this battle ever going to die? It was a problem. Infernal Shrines was much, much better on the side of PRS. Junkrat was kind of the big difference. I still feel like PRS and also Beyonce weren't super good at focusing damage, but the Junkrat ended up just occasionally coming in, getting a mine off, and just knocking someone completely out of position. And then the team was just like, oh, yeah, killed that dude. And that's what that happened. They killed that dude. And then Sky Temple. PRS really should have won Sky Temple. What ended up happening is that PRS had a very, very big advantage, but it just ended up with being a little bit better map awareness coming out of Beyonce Knowles. They do end up winning based on Sky Temple and the fact that you can win by avoiding the enemy. But PRS definitely, any other map, PS would have won Game 3. But then I feel like both of them need to have better showings to really make it up into the top. So that's my power ranking. Yavapai could throw everything out. If I was going to... No, dang it. I didn't mean to put you in there. Yavapai, I'm going to put... It's kind of mid-B. Just so I haven't seen them, but I mean, this is my old team. I kind of know what they're capable of. They're actually probably somewhere up here, but I can't justify putting them up without actually reviewing a game of theirs, which probably technically moves Frostbite ICC down, because obviously only top 8 make it into playoffs. But like I said, both of them could make it in. And that's my power rankings. Next week, I'll be able to go a little bit less psychotic in terms of pace and be able to get through a little bit faster. So be able to review just one series a night instead of trying to cram 6 into 3 days. So I'll be able to actually show some replays and some like, this is why this team is doing well. But hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, not trying to flame anyone. I'm sorry if anyone's offended. Hashtag don't at me. And I'll see you next week.